Hi everyone and welcome to another at-home yoga practice. My name is Katie and this is yoga for your hips and your lower back. So if you are someone who experiences some lower back pain, stretching out the hips can really help with that. Also really beneficial for anybody who spends some time sitting throughout the day. A great way to relieve stress at the end of the day is to open up those hips again. So when you're ready, I'll meet you on the mat. We'll begin our practice today in tabletop pose. So you can come onto your hands and knees. Have your wrists directly below your shoulders and your knees directly below your hips. Spread your fingers apart nice and wide and gently claw the mat with your fingertips here. Push yourself away from the floor so your body becomes nice and strong. So we'll start to warm up with a few rounds of cat-cow. As you inhale, tailbone points up towards the ceiling. Drop your belly towards the mat, chest comes forward and eyes look up. On an exhalation, tailbone points down, round your spine, bring your chin towards your chest and drop your head down. Next inhalation, tailbone pointing back up, dropping your belly, chest coming forward, eyes looking up. Exhale, rounding everything back down. Keep pushing yourself away from the mat to find more of a stretch in your shoulders. We'll keep going here, trying to synchronize your breath to the movement. And that might force you to slow down a little bit and just give each vertebrae a little bit of your attention as you move through. Now the next time that you're in a neutral spine, pause there, so we're back into tabletop. This time take your left foot over to the left beside you. So there's a straight line from your hip down to your ankle. We'll continue with the cat-cows. As you inhale, tailbone points up, feeling a little bit of resistance this time. Belly drops down, chest comes forward, eyes look up. Exhale, rounding everything down into cat. Keep going, working through some of that tightness that you might be feeling in your left hip. And just sending your breath down into those sensations. So you might keep going just like this, or it might feel nice to start to glide your hips back towards the back of your mat, just helping to open up that hip again. And you can glide forward and back as slow or as quickly as feels good. And then next time that you're back in center, pause there, pull your belly button gently towards your spine, and then use that power in your core to lift yourself up. Bring your left hand onto your left leg and do a rainbow with your right hand, reaching towards the left side of the room. Deep breath in, opening up your side body. And as you exhale, you can bring everything back down. We'll bring that left foot in, and this time the right foot comes out to the right beside you. Moving through some cat-cows again here. Inhaling, coming up into cow. Exhaling, rounding down for cat. And again on this side, once you're in center, you might start to gently glide back towards the back of your mat. And either moving forward or back, or it might just feel nice to pause in one point. Stretch away anything that's caught up in your hips. And when you're ready, come on back to center. Engage your core and lift yourself up. Right hand comes onto right leg this time. Left hand rainbowing across. Look up at your left thumb as you take a deep breath in. And on the exhale, bring everything back down. Back into tabletop. And from here, we'll come into downward facing dog. So the hands come out slightly in front, toes curl onto the mat, and then press your hips up and back. So take a moment here just to settle into your downward dog. You can paddle out your feet to stretch through the back of your legs. And then with time, you might be able to drop your head a little bit closer to the mat, bringing your ears in between your biceps, and point your tailbone towards the ceiling. Knees can stay as bent as they need to in order to find that upside down V shape. And just take a few breaths here, really stretching out your spine, releasing your lower back. Feel your breath as it travels deep into your belly. Now in your own time, you can start to walk your feet towards your hands, eventually landing into a standing forward fold. Feet are about hip distance apart. Hands can hang low to the mat, or they can come to grab opposite elbows. Release your head towards the ground. Relax all of the muscles in your neck and your face. Keep as much of a bend in your knees here in order to keep your spine straight. Find your breath again. Each inhalation lifts you slightly out of the pose, but each time you exhale, you might be able to drop your nose a little bit closer to your knees. And we'll stay here for a little while. This is a really good way to help release your lower back. Let's just send your breath there. You might notice your jaw here. See if it's clenched, and if it is, try to bring a little bit of softness to it. Now from our standing forward fold, we'll come straight down into a squat. So you can heel toe your feet over towards the edges of your mat. Keep your heels pointing in and toes pointing out. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, bring a bend into your knees and sink your hips down towards the mat. Now, it doesn't matter how it looks here. You can always use a block or a cushion underneath for a little bit more support if you need. Elbows can come in between your legs, and then palms can meet each other at the chest. Gently opening up your knees by pushing your elbows against them. Keep your spine as straight as possible, and we'll just take a few breaths here in our squat. So feeling that deep belly breathing, tapping into the sensations that you're feeling, and just knowing that you're releasing any of the stress or built up emotions that might be stored in your hips. One more big breath in here. And as you exhale, you can release your hands back down to the mat for a little bit of support. And we're going to come straight back into child's pose. So bringing your knees onto the mat. Options here within child's pose. If you keep your knees together, you'll find more of a stretch in your lower back. If you take your knees wide apart, you'll open up your hips a bit more. So whatever feels best for you. Again, here a cushion or a block underneath your hips can help to support the body a lot more in child's pose. So when you're ready, release your forehead down towards the mat. Hands can be towards the front of your mat, or they can come back to rest next to your feet. Whatever feels good here. Once you're in your comfortable child's pose, just let gravity do the work. Breathing in to expand the body, and as you exhale, sinking a little bit more into the mat. And if your mind drifts away here, just come back to those sensations that you're feeling. And try your best just to follow your breath in and out. If your hands are not already at the front of the mat, bring them there. Spread your fingers nice and wide apart. Press your finger pads into the mat and use your next inhalation to pull you back up. From here, coming into downward facing dog. So toes can come onto the mat and start to pull your hips up and back. Taking a moment just to reset here in down dog. Deep belly breaths in and out. And start to press your left heel towards the mat as you lift your right foot up towards the ceiling for three-legged dog. Keep that right pinky toe pointing to the mat here. Bring a bend into your right knee and then stack your hips on top of each other so you start to feel that stretch along the right side of your body. Take a long breath in. And now as you exhale, prepare to bring that right foot up in between your hands. You can always use your hands here to help get it up. Once you're there, release your back knee to the mat. So we've come into a nice low lunge. We'll stay here just for a moment. So starting to feel that stretch within your hip flexors. You can intensify the stretch here by gently dropping your pelvis towards the mat. But just being mindful here, just staying within your edges, not pressing too hard. Take a nice long breath in and a slow breath out. We'll start to move into pigeon pose now, so another really good hip opener. start to walk that right foot over towards the left side of your mat. And then drop your right knee back down to the right side of the mat. Your front leg can be on a diagonal here, if that feels good. Start to square your hips here. So it's tempting to sit on one side over towards the right, but you'll get more of an effective stretch if you can keep your hips nice and square. So a cushion underneath your right hip here can help. And then once you're there, start to pull your feet towards each other. Keep that right foot flexed to help support your right knee. Press the top of your left foot actively down into the mat and then pull them towards each other. You might be happy just to stay here in your pigeon pose, or you can take it a little bit further by coming down onto your forearms. And if you do come onto the forearms, just make sure that your hips are still square. So finding your breath again here, feeling that stretch within your right hip this time. You might close your eyes and just focus on those sensations. Each time that your mind drifts away, just invite it back to that stretching feeling. We're still pulling the feet together. Take 1 or 2 more deep breaths. Now from here, you can allow your hips to come down to the right side of your mat. Making our way into shoelace pose, straighten up that front leg. So your right leg is straight. Now bring your left foot all the way over towards your right hip. So coming here into a half shoelace. If you're feeling very flexible in the hips today, you might be able to bend this right knee as well. So your right foot comes over towards your left hip, and that's a full shoelace. Both ways equally as effective. A block or cushion underneath your hips here will also help to open them up a little bit more. So once you feel comfortable here in shoelace, make sure you can feel both seat bones pressing into the mat. Take a full breath in to lengthen up through your spine. And as you exhale, you can start to hinge forward at your hips, walking your hands away from you and maybe dropping your nose down towards your top knee. And we'll stay here for a few breaths. Each inhalation lengthening your spine, and each exhalation making you feel a little bit heavier. And concentrating your mind on your last breath cycle here. Full breath in, long breath out. Use your next inhalation to gently lift yourself back up. We'll take it into a twist from here. So bring your right hand in behind your tailbone, propping up your spine, and then left arm can come to the outside of your left shin. Inhale to lengthen, and then exhale, start to rotate your torso until you're looking back behind you. Another deep breath in to grow taller. And as you exhale, twisting a little bit deeper. Really targeting the lower back here. Send your breath into that stretch. And slowly coming back towards center now. You can undo those legs and bring them all the way back behind you, coming into downward facing dog. Fingers spread nice and wide, hips dragging up and back, knees can stay bent, tailbone points up, head releases towards the mat. And just letting everything settle back down again. You might notice a difference between the two sides. Take one more big belly breath here. Start to drop your right heel towards the mat this time as you lift your left foot up for three-legged dog. Then bend your left knee, stack your left hip over your right hip, open up your left side body here. Pushing your hands away from you, releasing your head towards the mat. Take a big breath in and then exhaling, left foot steps up in between the hands. Drop your back knee to the mat and come into your most comfortable low lunge here. Gently dropping the pelvis towards the mat if that feels good. Close your eyes and just take a few breaths here. When you're ready now, we'll set ourselves up for pigeon on this side. So the left foot walks over towards the right side of the mat. Drop your left knee to the left. Top of the right foot comes onto the mat. And then square your hips. So a block or cushion under the left hip this time can help. This front leg can be on a diagonal as much as you need for it to feel comfortable. Don't worry about trying to have it parallel. Pull your feet towards each other now. Left foot is flexing, and that helps you to lift your hips up off the mat. Stay here or come on down onto your forearms if that feels good for you. We'll take a couple of long breaths here. Just trying to find the stillness within the pose. Just trying to find those moments where it's just you and your body. Your mind is focusing on those sensations or it's focused on your breath. And just know that you're doing lots of good for yourself here. And as we take our last breath here in pigeon, keep your feet energetically pulling towards each other. And now when you're ready, let your hips drop over to the left side of the mat. If you are doing a full shoelace here, you can just bring that right leg all the way across. Or for half shoelace, straighten up the left leg, then bring your right foot across. Right foot finding its way over towards the left hip, feeling your seat bones pressing down. Take a breath in to lengthen your spine. Exhaling, hinging forward into your fold. drop your nose towards your knee and just let gravity do the work here. And don't worry about how deep you can get your fold. Your body always takes as much as it needs, so you don't have to try force more on it. And for your last few breaths here, send that fresh oxygen down into your left hip. Use your exhale to release the stress and tension from that area. Next breath in can lift you back up. You can undo your legs. Have them about mat distance apart, so feet are mat distance apart. You might lean slightly back on your hands here and then just windshield wiper your legs. So you're using an inhalation to lift your knees back to center, exhale to drop them down to one side. Just helping to loosen up the hips, massaging through your glutes. And then from here we'll come down to lie on our back. So you can sit yourself into the center of your mat and then nice and slowly come on back down. You can have your feet directly below your knees, keeping them about hip distance apart, and then reach your hands down towards the back of your heels. So we're coming into bridge pose here. Press your lower back into the mat so it's flush with the ground, and then try to maintain that position as you lift your hips up towards the ceiling. Head stays on the mat. Try to bring your chest towards your chin and really expand your belly with each breath in. And here in bridge pose, we're stretching out the front of the hips. So the higher you can lift them, the more of a sensation you'll feel. And also a great pose here to strengthen the muscles of the lower back. So just a few more deep breaths here. And now when you're ready, slowly start to release your spine back down onto the mat. Once your hips have landed, bring your knees up towards your chest, wrap your arms around your legs, and give yourself a nice tight squeeze. The tighter that you can squeeze those legs, the more of a stretch you'll find within your hips. Take a full breath in, pressing your belly against your thighs. And then as you exhale, we'll make our way into happy baby. So you're bringing your knees a little bit wider than your torso. Arms can come in between your legs, and then grab either your shins or the outside or the inside of your feet. Whatever works best here for you. Feet are parallel to the ceiling and knees are trying to press in towards your armpits. And try to touch your feet to the ceiling, but at the same time your arms are pulling your feet back down towards the ground. So we have a little bit of opposing energy here. So just hanging out here in happy baby, letting your hips and your hamstrings get some sunlight. You can stay still here, or you can gently rock from side to side, massaging through your back. Or you can play with straightening out one leg at a time just to stretch through your legs a little bit more. Find your breath again here, connect to it. Notice where your mind is at, and if it needs to come back, focus on your sensations and on your breath. When you're ready, you can release happy baby. Send your legs back out long, feet towards the end of the mat. And we'll make our way into a spinal twist here. Right foot coming up onto your left thigh, left hand grabbing the knee, right hand reaches up towards the ceiling. Stack your hips on top of each other to bring your knee over towards the left and release your right arm back down to the right. Keep your right shoulder connected to the mat here. So if it's popped up off the ground, just reverse out of your twist a little bit so you can bring it back down. And you can either gaze up at the ceiling, or to take the twist up into your neck, you can look over at your right hand. Once you're settled, just close your eyes, relax into the twist. Feeling that stretching within your lower back and your right hip. With time, as the body starts to open up, you might be able to encourage that knee a little bit closer to the left side of the mat. You can slowly start to undo the pose now, sending that right leg out long. Take a second or two just to reset in the center of your mat. And then when you're ready, we'll take it to the other side. So left foot is coming up onto your right thigh. Right hand holds your knee, left hand reaches up. Stack your hips. Knee comes over towards the right, release your left hand back to the left. Left shoulder stays connected to the mat, and then gazing up or to your left hand this time. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable and just let gravity do all the work here. Start to come back to center, releasing the pose, relaxing on your back for a moment, and then we'll finish with a few windshield wipers again. So bend your knees, have your feet mat distance apart. On an exhalation, lower your knees to one side. Inhale to lift them back up. Exhale to the opposite side. And keep going here for the last time, really connecting your body to your breath. That might force you to slow your movement a little bit, so the movement lasts as long as the breath does. The next time that your knees are in center, you can pause there. Send your right foot down to the end of the mat. Left foot can follow, coming into your Shavasana pose or corpse pose. feet and arms can be spread nice and wide away from your body. Allow all of your muscles to drop. Allow your breath just to return back to its natural rhythm. And you can stay here for as long as you need to, giving yourself the time and space just to relax. But we'll end the video here. So thank you so much for practicing with me. If you enjoyed, please let me know by leaving a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, I would be so grateful if you could subscribe to the channel. That really helps me out. Until next time, namaste.